Hello again, my YouTube friends. I finally got that other video to upload, so the Dogman video is on the airwaves. I wanted to tell the most recent unusual activity that I've got going on here. I mentioned something about it in my Dogman video at the end, but I want to let y'all know the inside scoop, so to speak. October 2021, I'm sleeping about 1 o'clock, between 1 and 1:30 in the morning. Something hit the backside of my house, and it was so loud it brought me up out of the bed. Maxwell was laying on the floor by the bed. He's my big dog, and Maxwell took off for the back. You know, he was going to check it out, see what it was out back. And I'm right behind him. Grabbed the spotlight, you know, off the island bar when I passed the kitchen, headed for the back door. Stepped out on the back porch, and I could hear something running across my yard. Real heavy-footed. And I mean, all I could see was a dark blur going across the back of my yard. I mean, it went so fast it was like a cartoon character in fast forward. And Maxwell was out on the porch, and right at that point, he was done being outside. He turned around, walked past me, and went back into the house. That's when I stepped back in the house, got my 1911 out of the holster by the back door. I stepped back out on the porch and just listened to dead silence. I flicked on the spotlight, shined it all around out in the backyard. I didn't see anything unusual. I shined it over back behind the house, you know, by my bedroom. And I was thinking, you know, I might see a branch or something that fell out of that tree and hit the house on the top and bounced off the back wall or whatever. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. After shining the spotlight around a little bit, and I heard whatever it was run across the yard back behind my big porch swing I got on the oak tree out there. And it went around a section of woods behind that oak tree where I built a new big old shop. Where's my woman cave over there. I'm going to take you in my woman cave and show you all around. I'll do a video sitting on the steps I just finished building in there. But anyway, that moment was past and didn't seem to have a threat, and so went back in the house. And I was up, you know, since I got startled awake, I was up for another about hour and a half, you know, watching my video cameras. Behind me, I've got this big old screen, 55-inch screen on the wall, where I've got 8 video cameras shining all around my house. I ran the videos back, didn't see anything unusual or out of the ordinary. So about an hour and a half later, I got tired again, went back to bed. And I got up the next day. When I got dressed, I went outside and I started looking around. I found footprints that I've taken pictures of that I'll include in this video. The right footprint was on the side where it ran around the woods area back to the north side of my new shop I built. I've got this cement slab that kind of comes out from it where I can pull the semi up in there and park it. And on that slab, there was a real light colored right footprint. You could see all the toes. I could see all the toes. I tried to take pictures of it, and it didn't show up, you know, in the video, you know, that you could tell anything about it. But the left footprint, where the right footprint caught the edge of that cement, and its stride was over 7 feet. Because it was running when it went around there and, you know, to the north, and probably went over my fence at the north side of the pasture. But I got a good picture of the left footprint. It is like 2 to 3 inches deep, and it is missing all the toes on its left foot. It's got the big toe print, but the other toes are missing. But it's a footprint, and I will put that picture on here to show you. But that unusual incident occurred. I had a wind, you know, storm or whatever, that knocked a big old tree limb down back there just off the northeast side of my shop, the woman cave. And I've been out there, you know, cutting limbs off of it from time to time and making me a little pile and everything. And then when I get time, I go back there with the tractor. I've got a John Deere tractor, and I get the John Deere tractor bucket and go back there and, you know, put some limbs in it, haul them to the fire pile. Well, something's been helping me out with that. And I've had nobody coming in my yard. My gates stay locked. My family, my sister, my brother passed away from COVID, but my sister said, no, I haven't been over your house helping you stack up any limbs. And none of my neighbors, I've asked them, nobody's been in my yard. But something's been stacking up limbs for me. And that the day I was out there, I was cutting stuff off of that tree that had fell. And it's a big limb. The limb is a good 12 plus inches around. And it was fell across another limb, and it had kind of like a fork in it. It was stuck in there, you know, and I hooked up, I threw a big old strap up there, and trucking strap, and I tried to pull it off of there with my tractor. That thing wasn't budging, even with a 30 horsepower tractor. Well, I went and got the pickup truck, brought it around there, hooked that strap up that pickup truck, and I jerked and jerked and jerked, and that sucker, it was up there, and it wasn't coming out. And I tried to jerk it out with the truck, and it was up there. And I'm thinking, well, okay, so I got the chainsaw. I got a little electric chainsaw that ain't too heavy, and I cut some limbs off there and stacked them up, and I got good pile stacked there, you know, and then I went back the pickup truck up there and loaded all them limbs on the truck and took them over the fire pile and unloaded them. Well, I'm burning them up that night. Come in the house, I made me a White Russian. I got my lawn chair, sat it out there, got good fire going, you know, and start burning that big old pile up of limbs that I dumped on there. Maxwell was outside laying in the ground right beside my chair. And right about 10 o'clock, Maxwell started doing this, because I mean, right over my left shoulder was the area where the tree had fell. You know, I tried to get it down, and I cut a bunch of limbs off of it. It's damaged my fence pretty good, and I can't fix my fence until I get, you know, the tree cut up and moved away. But Maxwell kept looking around, and then he decided he didn't want to be out there no more, and he got up and went in the house. That's unusual for him to leave my side, okay? And so I got up, and the fire was about all burned up anyway, and I got up and got the rake, and I raked the pile, you know, circle around the pile. And when I was doing that, the hair got to standing up on the back of my neck. And I felt like I was being watched. So, and I felt like it was coming from over there, that tree area. And I thought about what Steve Isdall had said on his channel, you know. And I thought to myself, please don't make me be afraid in my own yard. And not a few moments later, the hair quit standing up on the back of my neck, and I didn't feel unusual anymore. And so I went on in the house. Well, the next couple of days, I'm out there, you know, in the shop, diddling around, working on my stairs, and I needed some lumber that I had in a pile down at a little pole barn that's about 12 wide and 20 long that I built a few years ago. And I had a bunch of wood stacked up in there because it's got this, you know, loft in it where I can keep wood out of the weather. And so I walked back there, headed to walk back there, and the limb that fell on the tree, the big old limb, big southern oak limb that I couldn't jerk down out of there, is about halfway between where my shop north door is, where I pulled the semi up in there, and the little pole barn that I got the wood stored in. And when I got halfway down there, I noticed that big limb that I've tried to jerk out of there. It's laying on the ground now. And right beside where that limb was up over all them other limbs in that big old, about, I don't know, 12 plus feet up, there was a pile of wood stacked there. And this was not wood that had been cut by a chainsaw or, you know, limb loppers that I had out there working that day. And I hauled that fire pile to the fire pile and burned that whole thing up. And I had not left any wood stacked up out there. But there was a pile of wood stacked there. And this wood was 4 to 6 inch around limbs off of that tree that had been up there that was now laying on the ground. And something had broke all the limbs off of it. Broke them off now, not cut them. They were all broke. 4 to 6 inch pieces laying there in a pile exactly where I had laid my other pile before I loaded it up and hauled it to the fire pile. That just made willies go all over me when I saw that. So anyway, I also noticed on the ground there that there had been obviously a yellow jacket nest in the ground there. And I'm allergic to them things, and they're kind of, you know, it would have been a bad scene for me if I had been out there and got in the middle of that. But something had dug that whole thing up and left a big old hole in the ground, big enough for a huge hand. That hole was that big around at least. I've got pictures of it. I'll put them on here, where it dug out all them yellow jacket combs in there that had all their, you know, offspring in them and ate them all. And I'm just, the more I think about it, I think my Sabe friend's been helping me out, because not only that one time, because I got the tractor and I loaded that up the next day. I didn't have time that day working on my stairs because it was starting to get dark. But when I went over there and loaded that wood up, when I was loading that wood up in my bucket of my tractor, I got sick to my stomach feeling. And I got it so bad that I had to come in the house, and I don't ever get feeling like that. So I left it all out there till the next day, and when I went back out there the next day, I felt fine, you know. And as I'm loading the rest of that stuff up in the bucket, I get to feeling sick to my stomach again. And I don't know, I think about all these videos that I've watched on, you know, Steve Isdall's channel and several other, you know, YouTube Sasquatch channels and stuff that I watched. And so I said out loud, I said, please don't, you know, make me afraid or make me sick to my stomach in my own yard. And as soon as that left my mouth, I didn't feel sick to my stomach anymore. And I went ahead and finished loading up my stack of wood, hauled it over to the fire pile, and dumped it out so I could burn it up later. But since then, I've had one more pile, not as big as that pile, but a smaller pile, because, I mean, if he's going to start busting up, I think it's a juvenile, because the footprint was like 13 inches long. And I'm going to put them on here. I've got a measuring tape on it. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. But I think if my Sabe friend that's helping me out with this, I don't know what's going on, but and this was like the last week of December 2021 that this occurred. Okay, and since then, and I will put this video on too, because January the 7th, I'm sitting in here. I come in from outside, and I got a real big back porch across the house, and I was out there doing some stuff, and I come in the house, and my sister called me, and I was talking to her on the phone, and it was dark, and I come in here and sat right down here in my chair, and I look up there where I can see that 55-inch TV and DVR recording 8 video screens all around my house. And I see above my garden area some really strange lights. And it videotaped a minute and 4 seconds of these strange lights happening out there. And I've got some solar lights around my garden area so that, you know, the dog and the cats won't go in there and mess up all my plants, my vegetables and stuff. And you can see on the video the square where I got the solar lights around my garden, and my garden gate has a square of lights around it, you'll see. But above the garden and behind the garden, right in front of my property line, you can see these weird lights. And I'm going to put it on here so you can see the lights that I'm talking about. And these lights, like I said, happened for a minute and 4 seconds. And I'm talking to my sister on the phone, and I just have to come over here and, you know, sit back in the chair and look up at the video screen and seeing them lights. So I got up. I told my sister, there's something weird going on in my backyard. And so I got up and I went to the back door and I look out and I don't see no lights or nothing out there. And so I walk back in here. It's about 30 feet to the back door. I walk back in here and look at the video camera, and those lights are still being recorded on my DVR. But I can't see it with the naked eye out my back door. That's weird, isn't it? And so I'm telling my sister all about it, and I think she thought I was lying about it because, you know, she said, oh, send that to me. I got to see this for myself, you know. And so when we got off the phone, I copied it with, you know, ran it back on the DVR and recorded it on my phone, and I sent it to her, and she called me back and she goes, damn, girl, that is something weird going on in your backyard. And it just makes me wonder if that ain't some kind of, I don't know, UFO picking up and dropping off my Sabe, you know, friend. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comment section below.